Good morning. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It is Wednesday. No, it's not Wednesday. It's Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. It's just after 10 a.m. and we're delighted to have Erica McKellar here, our representative from the National Council of State Legislatures, NCSL. And so Erica, welcome. Introduce yourself, and then maybe we should, have you been here this year to our committee?
No, not yet.
Okay, so we'll introduce ourselves. So we haven't done that for a while, so please.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Erica McKellar. I am with the National Conference of State Legislatures. I'm part of our fiscal affairs program at NCSL. I work on issues around state fiscal conditions and state budget process issues. And I also have the honor of being NCSL's liaison to the Vermont legislature, which means I get to travel here once a year and meet with all of you to learn how NCSL can maybe be better serving you and support your work. And as well as kind of just being a point person for you for any questions that you might have or anything that you might need from NCSL, you can always feel free to reach out to me. And I'll pause there to let you all introduce yourselves before telling you a little bit more about NCSL.
Great, thanks. Great.
Good morning. I'm Dave Iacovoni. I represent the Lamoille, Washington District. Greetings.
Good morning and welcome. John Crescenti from Burke. I represent the Essex Caledonia District.
Hi, Mike Nigro, represent Bennington and Pelham.
Tom Stevens from Waterbury, representing the Washington Chittenden District.
Good morning, Erica. Jim Harrison. I represent Chittenden, Mendon, Killington, and Pittsfield.
And I'm Robin Shy, and I represent Middlebury.
Tiffany Wing, and I represent Burlington.
Trevor Swirl, representing Underhill and Jericho.
Wayne West, representing Highgate, Crumpton, Richford, and Berkshire.
Good morning. I'm Mike Norwood, and I'm from down in southeast Vermont from the 4th District.
Okay. Missing today is Lynn Dickinson, who's from St. Albans Town. So anyway, we're glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Well, as you might know, NCSL is a bipartisan organization that's really dedicated to strengthening the legislative institution. And we do that through a variety of ways, but we really want you to think of us as an extension of your legislative staff. We are really here to serve you in any way that you need to support the important work that you all do here in state legislatures. As part of sort of thinking of us as an extension of your staff, one of the main tasks that we do is we're always happy to provide research. If there's any information that you need, any topics that you're interested in learning more about, if we don't have something on hand, we're more than happy to dig into that and be a research resource for you. We also do a number of meetings and events throughout the year, both virtual and in person. And I'm excited that our annual meeting this year, our big legislative summit, will be in Boston, August 4th through the 6th. I have some fun save the date cards here that you can pin to your refrigerators. But I'm excited that it's kind of close to Vermont, and I hope that some of you will be able to attend. And when you do, you'll have my cell phone number. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help you kind of navigate the legislative summit. We also offer a number of trainings and professional development opportunities for legislators and legislative staff. We have a whole dedicated trainings team. So if you're interested in learning some more about those opportunities or having someone travel here to meet with the committee, do any sort of trainings around that, we'd be happy to do that as well. Our main office is located in Denver, but we also have a DC office that works a lot on our state federal relations work. And I'm really kind of here today to just sort of check in with you all, learn about your experiences with NCSL, see if there are other ways that we can be supportive of your work, and answer any questions that you might have or take any research questions back with me to get you some information later on.
I'm going to start right in with an informational question, not on NCSL, but we just had a conversation with one of the agency of administration here, and so much of the chaos in DC is unprecedented. And so I'll throw an example, and I'm just going to ask you, is NCSL working with the states to try to figure out? So for instance, somebody brought up the fact that our bond ratings, if everything goes to plan from DC to the states, our bond ratings might be severely affected. I have to imagine that everybody's bond ratings are going to be severely affected or could be. Is NCSL kind of wargaming? I mean, there's so many dominoes that the states have to deal with. Just curious, where is NCSL in terms of getting over the fears that we all have and trying to put together some kind of game plan for the states to try to help us game plan?
I think right now we are doing a lot of tracking of executive orders and what the impact might be on states. We're talking a lot with members about what some of the potential cuts and some of the cuts that we've seen, what the impact of those might be. We've issued a few letters to Congress in conjunction with some of our partner organizations like the Council of State Governments and the National League of Cities. And I know that our CEO is in close contact with them because in times like this, we tend to work together a lot to really strengthen sort of our message to our congressional leaders and the administration. So right now, I think we are working hard to get a handle on everything that's coming down and the full impact that it might have on states and really sort of make sure that Congress and the administration are aware of the effect that some of these cuts might have to state budgets and the consequences.
Yeah, that's a fine start. Thank you.
I was on, you had a couple of Medicaid seminars and I made the first one and then we were doing our budget for the second one, so I didn't make it. But I actually haven't gotten the slides yet or the presentation. That would be great. They said that they were going to send those out. I found it really helpful. We heard, in the first one I was on, we heard from the Medicaid director in the state of Utah and the states of New Jersey, and they were already, the ways they were thinking about things was really very interesting. I don't know what happened the second week, but it's good. Yeah.
Can you, what kind of research, what are your research capabilities?
We'll do sort of whatever it is you need, I suppose. We take them on sort of a case-by-case basis and sort of evaluate what the best strategy would be. We can do a lot of bill research. If there's something that you're interested in introducing, we can see what similar bills might be around in other states. We'll find available research.
You canvass other states, see.
Yes, we can connect you with other states. We can, gather information from other states. I work closely with the legislative fiscal directors in the states, so I often call them and ask them questions about their budgets or, how much they spend on certain areas, things like that.
Surveys,
Yes.
statistical staff.
We do some surveying of states, yes.
And just as a quick example, Representative Maworky and I, just prior to the session, were talking about introducing a electronic roll call voting. Reached out to NCSL, and they very quickly got back to us what every state was doing, and it turns out we were like one of just a couple states that did it the old-fashioned for houses, not just Senate. Senate chambers tend to be smaller, but then for houses, we were one of a couple states that actually do it. The yeas and nays individually, and then we all patiently sit there for 15 minutes waiting for it to be done.
Is that an old way or a traditional way?
I guess it could be either.
Depends on how much you like it.
But they were very helpful and, not passing judgment at what you said, but just.
They didn't laugh at you?
No. If you do what? It turns out one of our states that also does it the same way is Wyoming. They have a house about half the size of Vermont, even less than, I think it's 60 some out members in the house. So that would be a little bit more bearable.
Yeah.
It's information, not passing judgment, information.
Right, nonpartisan. Yeah.
Yeah, in committee, we have talked at times about the difficulty that we have in really understanding the budgets that come to us from the administration, because they come up with a budget, we then work with it and, you know, what we receive are ups and downs. So from the base budget of the prior year. What it doesn't tell us anything, at least on that same spreadsheet, how much is carried forward money that wasn't spent, which gives us a better idea of actually how much that department is spending. We have to look at a different sheet, and only because our chair asked for that 2 years ago, did this committee start looking at carry forward. I guess I've been wondering kind of how maybe different states approach budgeting, what kind of information they request from the administration. Because we then, in the time that we have, we tend to accept basically that the base budget is something that we can support, right? And I don't think anybody here wants to get into the minutia of, you know, an agency's budget. But understanding how, you know, what buckets of money are being spent on, you know, and how that may have changed over time. It's really difficult to track some of those things. And I just am curious, since I don't have a ready idea of what we might look at that would give us a better sense. I'm wondering if you have any ideas or might be willing to look into that for us.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't have a lot of experience looking at agency budget requests myself, but I would be happy to look into it. I know, you know, we can look into the different, each state has what agencies are required to submit in their budget requests. So we can find some of those and start gathering some information on that. I will say not every state allows agencies to carry forward funds. Some sweep those back into the general fund each year. So I don't know if you'd be interested in learning more about that as well.
We have carry forward reversions, fund transfers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thinking our budget working group might have some, that would be a topic for our budget working group.
That would be an excellent topic.
Yeah, this afternoon. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks, your website is an amazing resource. There's a lot of information there. I've gotten a lot. Interns that work for me get a lot of information. So I want to commend whoever's keeping that up, and it's a great resource for what's happening around the states too. My question today is I'm new to the reality of recognizing what I would call a healthcare system that I would describe as teetering. And we're in a rather precarious situation. And I don't know how it is for other states too, but I'm guessing we're not alone. Are there any studies, NCSL is doing big studies looking at the healthcare, because it seems to be one of the basics of life, that we would want to have a healthcare system. When people pick up the phone, they want to be able to have somebody on the other end who's going to be helpful, who's going to answer. And if anything keeps me up at night right now, it's where we're at right now. I don't think anybody's happy with the system, whether it's patients, providers, insurance companies. So it seems to be a pretty big issue, and I don't know if you have anything now or are working on it. That could be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole team of people dedicated to, health and human services, and I will check in with them to see what resources they have or what resources they're available or aware of that might be useful. Send those to you. That'd be helpful. I'll take these questions back with me and gather information and send them all to Erin. If that would
Yeah, that would sound great. And you can distribute. On another question.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about it. I agree with President Norwood about the health piece here. It's good for us to kind of know what's going on.
in other states and strategies that they're thinking about to make it better in their own state, which might be helpful for us. But another topic too is, housing's been on this here as well. Being a relatively rural state for the most part here, except for, Burlington's problems, failures in most places there. It's really difficult to housing development is really difficult. I'm going to put the regulatory stuff aside, but just development willing to commit to area to carry out what is needed for additional housing.
Sorry, did you say willing to commit to rural areas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether it's, it's always all about capacity. I mean, they're not going to work for free here, clearly. We don't expect them to. Here, they need to, have margin as well. It's been really difficult, especially with infrastructure kinds of costs that are there. So if you have anything in relation to that type of environment here, kind of rural areas of other states, be helpful. Just things they're thinking about beyond kind of traditional, built from the ground up kinds of structures. Just takes a long time to get that stuff together, and our building season is really short.
Mhm.
Dave,
I've been interested in trying to explore different ways to do state budgets. Vermont, I think it was in 2014, passed Act 186, and it established 10 state outcomes in law. An example, elders and people with disabilities will live in settings they prefer. Could you imagine budgeting how much money does Vermont spend on that outcome? Children enter school ready to learn. How much money does Vermont spend on that outcome? And what are the indicators? How are we doing? That to me would change the face of here comes natural resources, and here are our ups and here's our downs, but rather what are we achieving? Do you know if any other states budget by outcomes?
I am, yes and no. I am aware of states that use sort of an outcomes-based, performance-based budgeting system, but it's not exactly what you are describing. It's more like instead of having a line item of what the agency can spend, you designate a goal, and then you give the agency sort of a lump sum to achieve that goal, sort of in its kind of simplest form. I'm not aware of any states that sort of have these high level goals and then measure based on that, but I can look into it.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's great.
the projects that NCSL is working on that,
I think right now, the federal piece,
Federal,
really getting a handle on that and tracking that, I think we'll be doing a lot more webinars on that, a lot more opportunities for you all to meet and share ideas and things like that. So I think that's a big focus for us right now.
so I really appreciate you coming in. I know Jim sort of got you last minute at the end of the day yesterday, but we're glad that we could connect and everybody gets a chance to meet you. You've actually been our liaison for a while now,
Yes,
as I recall.
yeah.
So.
I think since 2014.
Maybe you want to
Really?
about basketball or anything like that.
Oh, gosh. Any other sport? I don't know anything about basketball.
Yeah.
Do it from afar.
We understand the importance of having some fun along the way, so we have some diversions that help. Especially in this committee.
Where it could be tougher.
All good, but
Yeah.
we very much appreciate you coming, checking in with us. It's interesting and perhaps exciting to see that the NCSL annual conference is in Boston, which might make it doable, although we may not have any money left in our budget to pay for registration fees. But I've had the opportunity to go to one NCSL conference, and it's a lot of information packed into a couple days with workshops on everything. And your presentations by your peers in other states, which is how we all learn. So,
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your support of NCSL. We really appreciate it and really appreciate the work that you all do.
Great, thanks. Enjoy the rest of your visit to
Thank you.
Vermont.
Would anybody like a business card or glasses wipe or any?
Classes, fun.
No?
While that's happening, so committee, after the floor, we'll be running the testimony from this morning of House Ways and Means and Tammy Colby Education Funding. It will be in here if you want to come in. This is not mandatory, but if you want to see it, I think it'll be helpful for what we're going to need to know, and you can bring your popcorn. And then at 3:00, Beth St. James will begin to talk about the ed policy piece. So
And before we go, can I, and I apologize for being late, I had a.
that's okay. It just happened.
So, and I'll go back and I'll watch the half hour that I missed of Sarah, but just in general, if you had to boil it down, what is the legislative, what are we doing for all the federal cuts? Like, what is the legislature doing for tracking the federal cuts? I know JFO is keeping an ongoing list. But is there a strategy that is starting to form for all three, or for at least our branch, the executive branch?
So thanks to our JFO staff, I'm gonna be sending out a letter under my name, written by JFO to Sarah Clark as the Secretary of the Administration, that will go out to all of the committees, the committees, the agencies and the departments, and so once we have that, you'll all get a copy of that. That says, we want you to take a look at all your federal funds, how are you thinking about them at this moment in time? Can you prioritize high, medium, low risk? Some other questions, and then Emily put together a spreadsheet that follows kind of how they do things, so that we'll be information gathering. We'll be having agencies and departments coming into our committee over the next few weeks to talk about how they're thinking about that. Because if we have to do a whole new budget, which we may, we want to have as much information ahead of time so that we understand and they understand. And we're going to have to be reactive because we don't know what's happening and we don't know when it's going to happen and we don't know when they say something if it's going to stick. So, there's just so much else. So once we have that finished, and we went over it at the break with Sarah Clark, so she's well aware of what's happening, and so we're trying to collaborate there. And we'll probably have Adam in next week also to talk about it. So we have a plan for how we're going to gather the information and think about it. And I'm really grateful to JFO for helping get this orchestrated in a logical way.
I've been part of a process like this before. I'm just wondering what happens actually. So we're working on the budget and then all of a sudden there's news of major cuts and they stop work on that and they send the budget back over to us, or do they do the work?
Well, we may do an entirely new budget because it's just too much. I think it depends on what it is and what we have to do.
Yeah.
Money bills start in the house. So it may be, I know from talking to the folks, and none of us that have been here the longest were here when COVID for Dave was here. When COVID hit and you were 98% of the way through the budget, and then you had to throw it out and start again. And you did a 6-month budget or a 3-month budget. Yeah, so you did 3 or 4 that year. And Tom Cavett, I think, did some updates, or we might ask him to do updates in this case. In the case of COVID, it was gazillions of dollars coming in. In the recession of 2008, 9, 10, we actually got ERA money from the federal government. Well, that's not going to happen. We're going to be on our own. So it's all uncharted territory. We have what we know we've done. I would expect. So I don't. Okay. So we're just trying to plan as much as we can and be ready. And then when things happen, which they will, we'll try to be as nimble as we can. Yeah. Good question.
Get a hard hat, because no one will like us.
At least this won't be our fault.
There'll be people they'll like a lot less.
Yes,
I think the issue is too, is that it's never ending. It feels like it's always just an ellipse. So even if
Right.
it's gonna be like the millipedes shoes dropping, because every time we pick up the word.
I'll forget a millipede in. Yes, yes.
5 major mark.
Yeah. What, if you've only got one joke to tell, you had the right one.
I said it's impactful.
So, if we're all set, let's go off live, but stay here.